They herded us through the gates like animals. Men in black coats shouted in a language we didn't speak. Some laughed. Others didn't even look at us, just pointed. One of them barked and pointed at me and Lila. Block, D-move. We were shoved down a gravel path that cut through the middle of the camp. Everywhere I looked, people moved like shadows, thin, hollow-eyed, hunched over in gray uniforms. Some carried bricks, others shoveled mud or pushed heavy carts. No one made eye contact. No one spoke. Lila whimpered. I held her hand tighter. The barracks were long wooden huts with broken windows and doors that barely hung on their hinges. They threw us into one at the end block. Deanne slammed the door behind us. Inside, it was worse than outside. Rows of wooden bunks lined the walls, each no wider than a shelf. A few thin blankets, no mattresses, no pillows. The smell of sweat, dirt, and sickness filled the air.
Okay.
A woman in a gray scarf, maybe in her 20s, her face pale and eyes sunken, was already there. She looked at us like we were ghosts. New ones, she muttered. God help them. That night, they didn't feed us, just shouted orders to lie down and be quiet. Lila curled into a ball on the bottom bunk, hugging her doll. I lay beside her and listened to the sounds of the camp, coughing, whispers, the clang of metal, distant screams. I wanted to cry, but I didn't, not yet. I had to be strong for her. Will we see Mama and Papa again? Lila asked softly in the dark. I hesitated. Then I lied. Yes, soon. But deep inside, something told me the truth. They were gone. That night, for the first time, I cried myself to sleep. By morning, the camp was already awake. A bell rang loud, harsh and cold as the metal that made it. It sliced through the quiet like a knife. The bunkhouse groaned to life, people crawling out of their thin blankets, limbs stiff and faces hollow. We hadn't slept much, but sleep was already a forgotten luxury. The doors creaked open, and a soldier stepped in. He didn't say a word, just pointed. We followed. Outside, the camp looked even worse in daylight. Mud coated everything: the ground, the walls, the people. Gray uniforms hung from bone-thin bodies like rags on scarecrows. Smoke rose from a tall chimney in the distance, blending with the sky. There was no color, no green, no birds. Just mud, smoke, and cold steel. Lila held my hand like it was the last thing tethering her to life. They lined us up and handed out bowls, metal, dented and cold. A woman dumped something into each grayish slop that smelled like old water and potato peels. It was barely food, but we hadn't eaten since we were taken. Lila stared at it. What is it? She whispered. Breakfast, someone muttered behind us. Eat or faint. We sat on the ground, bowls in our laps. I ate fast. Lila ate slow. She always did. She gave a tiny smile after the first bite. It's warm, she said. That was enough, for now. After breakfast, the work began. They handed us small picks and shovels and led us to the gravel yard. Our job was to break rocks. Literally smash stones into smaller stones. Didn't matter if they had a purpose. We just had to keep working. A soldier paced the yard, whip at his belt, gun on his back. Anyone who slowed down got yelled at. Anyone who stopped got hit. I saw it happen before lunch. One boy around my age stumbled and went down. A guard grabbed him by the collar and dragged him away. We never saw him again. Lila wasn't strong enough for the pickaxe, so they gave her a rusted rake and told her to clear trash from the fence. She didn't complain. She didn't cry. But I saw the way she moved slow, like every step hurt. She was shrinking in front of me, 1 hour at a time. By evening, my arms felt like they were full of broken glass. My stomach growled like a wild animal. My throat was dry. My back ached. It was only day 1. They gave us dinner, another bowl of gray slop, this time thinner and colder. Then back to Block D. No one talked. The bunks groaned under weight and sorrow. Lila lay beside me, silent. Her doll was torn, now one leg dangling by a thread. She didn't notice. I stared at the ceiling and tried to remember Mama's voice, Papa's laugh, the smell of the bread she used to bake. But all I could smell now was mud and sweat, Camp, this cold machine of iron and cruelty, wanted to turn us into ghosts, into numbers, and we were just kids. By the third day, my hands had already started to blister. Big, red, angry bubbles had formed on my palms from gripping the pickaxe too hard. It split open before lunch, leaking something sticky. I tried to keep working. Everyone did. No one wanted to find out what happened if you stopped. Leela's rake had been replaced with a rusted tin bucket. Her job now was carrying small rocks from one pile to another, over and over. The pile never seemed to shrink. Her little arms shook with every trip. The bucket was too big for her, dragging behind like a tail, but she never said a word, not a single complaint. Just kept walking back and forth in silence, her eyes half closed. I hated this place. The guards didn't see children. They saw machines, things that worked until they broke. If you cried, they ignored you. If you collapsed, they replaced you. One of the older kids, a boy named Marek, tried to whisper to me during break. "Don't talk, don't look, just work," he said. "That's how you last here." "Has anyone ever escaped?" I asked. He shook his head. One did. Last year, they caught him before sunrise. They made everyone watch. I stopped asking questions after that. The sun never felt warm anymore, just stared down like an eye that didn't blink. At night, the cold came back with claws. We had no blankets, just the same threadbare uniforms and thin boards of the bunk.